Anyway,
can I just say I love this week's rotation. I don't think we've had the three of us before.
We haven't, no.
This is going exactly as I thought it was going.
With good reason, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's how we should start the podcast. I think we should all be
just under something. Mm-hmm. What's great about you can't see it, but my tummy's out now.
Not your
my tum's out under the desk.
Nice. I'm not wearing any underwear or pants.
Hello there, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Football Manager Therapy. I am your host, Rich Owens, and joining me this week, it's two of me lovely pals. It's a brand new podcast rotation this week. We've not had this grouping before, and I'm very, very excited. We've got the Steakety Bakety, and we've also got our returning podcast boodarino. Why, Callum? Callum, hi, friend. How are we? How's things? How's life?
That's a lot of questions, Rich,
Yes.
and I think that the best way to answer that is yes and okay. And I don't, it's life is a roller coaster, and frankly, you just got to ride it. And I feel, I do that on a daily basis. I often live by the words of Ronan Keating. Actually, I think as a philosopher, he's underappreciated in a lot of ways. So yeah. I think that's a really good answer to your question. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that's gone really well.
It's the answer I was expecting. There's the thing. It's the answer I was expecting. On today's podcast, we debate the works of Ronan Keating compared to Stephen Gately. So buckle up, everybody. It's going to get opinionated.
I thought you were going to say we've got Ronan Keating, and now I'm just going to go hate for it.
We've got him in a loft somewhere.
Oh,
he's hidden. We don't. He's well. He's living somewhere perfectly happily. Unless Steak, you know anything about that?
I just heard him. I just heard.
What's that coming from the attic? Often I'm in bed at night and I could say, "You've really got me caught in a spin." I'm like, "Shut up, Ronan!
Ronan, not now,
not now, Ronan. Nobody's coming for you." Hi, Steak. How are you this week?
I'm very good, thank you, Rich. Very, very good. I've had a fantastic weekend. My team won a game for the first time this season, which is great. And I was there and got to witness it live. So I am in a fabulous mood, perfect for this podcast. What about yourself, Mr. Richard Owens?
I'm perfectly adequate. Thank you very much, Stakey. Perfectly adequate. I've had a weekend of being a dad. My football team did not win this weekend. Nobody was surprised. So again, I come into this just with the sense of optimism I would have had regardless of yesterday's result, because I wasn't expecting anything good to happen. Nothing good happened. Balance to the universe. Everybody's happy. And that's how the way it should be. It's the way it should be. Lads, I'm very much looking forward to this week's episode of Football Manager Therapy. It's going to be really, really good. I think the last couple of weeks, let's all be honest. If we are honest amongst ourselves, have been quite heavy for fans of the Football Manager franchise. I think with obviously the news of the FM25 news that's broken and the many opinions that have followed that.
Sorry, Rich. FM25 news. I haven't been on the pod for a while, so there's news.
Yes, we're starting.
Oh, brilliant!
For FM25, yeah, we're really excited about it.
Okay, so last I heard, end of November. I've actually got. I could announce the new save right now. I mean, so it's a Christmas based save, because I thought as what's wrong, Steak?
You mean like next Christmas, right? Like
no,
like 2025 Christmas.
No.
You might have a few troubles with that, Callum.
Oh, you are joking me. The next thing you're going to tell me has been delayed till March.
Your save wasn't based around players' weights at all, was it, Callum?
Well, yeah, obviously. You've got to have about the player's weight, internationally based player weight over the Christmas period was like literally
Yes.
the three parameters of my save. So
You know what, Callum? I can't wait for it. I'm really, really excited.
Yeah.
can't wait.
Because they've taken them out. You literally can't at all.
Mm.
No. Sorry.
That
Bad
is a
news.
shame. That is a shame.
That is a shame. Back to the drawing board, I think, for you, Callum.
Looks
In the
that way.
meantime, though, shall we do something fun instead? Should we have a little?
No, it's a very dour time, isn't it? Let's face it. I mean, you know,
It is.
FM25. We all had such hopes, such dreams, and now look at it.
Would you stop quoting Ronan Keating? You're going to get us demonetized at this rate.
Nah.
Ah, lovely. I thought what might be a nice thing to do this week in a roundabout kind of way. Because as I said, the last weeks have been quite heavy. There's been a lot of going on, a lot of opinions. And I thought, let's do what we do really, really, really well. Just ignore it. And hope for the best. Let's just pretend everything's fine.
It's probably fine.
Carry on.
It's probably fine.
It's just probably fine.
It's just a game anyway, isn't it? You know, it's just a game. Yeah,
Every gamer's favorite phrase. It's just a game. Calm down. It's just a game.
Calm down. It's just a game. None of this is real. Well,
that actually I disagree with heavily because I feel it here, Rich. For the audio listeners, I'm pointing at my heart right now.
He is.
I feel
it's not out. We can't. It's
for the audio listeners. It is out.
Callum has breathed in the inside-out fog from the Simpsons Halloween special from about 30 odd years ago. Oh, there you go.
That's a good reference. That's
thank you.
Very good.
It's
very good.
Hey,
relevant.
One thing that because it's spooky season, isn't it? So this all works. This all works. You know what? Let's just abandon this week's premise entirely. Callum Steak, what's your favourite Simpsons Halloween episode?
Oh, can I be controversial?
Please.
I never liked them.
Oh,
I was a huge Simpsons fan, but whenever the Halloween episodes came along, just not for me.
You don't like the Treehouse of Horror?
No,
you're broken. You're broken. You really are the enemy of joy.
I just think it really ruined, the continuity of the show. These arcs, and you saw these children grow and get older as the series went on. Maggie started as this baby who couldn't speak with a dummy in her mouth, and then in series 37, Maggie is this baby with a dummy in her mouth, but so much more purpose, so the developments, and then you have these ridiculous Halloween episodes that come along and they all die in them all the time, and then next week they're just back. And I just honestly, if there's anything in cartoons that I need, it is reality, and I think it really ruins that.
Completely agree with you. However, Mr. Burns as an alien isn't a fantastic episode, which
it's a very good episode out there. It's a very good episode.
Loved it. One of my favorite Halloween episodes.
Honestly, terror at 5.5, terror at 5.5 feet. Like when there's a gremlin on the side of the school bus. Oh my goodness gracious me, that properly made me nervous when I was a child. Even now as an adult, it still makes me good. It gives me the when the gremlin just like stares at Bart and goes, I'm like, oh no, bit rich for my blood. No, thank you. No, thank you. Holding up Ned Flanders' decapitated head at the back of an ambulance at the end of it. Oh no,
just a kid's show.
It's just a show for kids. It's a harmless show for kids, just full of friendly chuckles and yucks, isn't it? It's great fun. It's great fun. What a show! Right, Football Manager. It's good. We like it. So we have a good time. What I'd like to do this week, we're gonna merge one of my favorite things of recent kind of footballing heritage, and we're going to bring that in together with some Football Manager. Because I bloody love the concept of a Barclaysman. It's something that really speaks to me because I love nostalgia, and it also makes me feel like the past wasn't actually that long ago because I'm very old now. So for me, I love a Barclaysman, love the conversations around the Barclaysman. It's that old tweet, isn't it? Men can just sit around naming old sports people and just have the best time. And then somebody on Twitter wrote Morten Gamst Pedersen, and I just went, yes, that is correct. Without context. You don't need context. It's just MGP, isn't it? I thought that this week, fellas, we could kind of adapt that a little bit. I think we could adapt the Barclaysman concept, and we're going to create the concept of a Savesman. It's like a Barclaysman, but it's based around Football Manager. It's those two things combined together. So it would be nice to have a little reminisce and have a little bit of a chat about some of the exceptional Savesmen that we have come across over the last, nearly 12 months in FM24. Because my goodness gracious me, we've all played a little bit of this game, be it on stream, be it in network saves off stream, be it with friends, be it however you've played this game. The three of us, we've played it for at least a cumulative 10, 15 minutes. So I think memories galore. Memories galore. We've all done loads of different things. Stakey, obviously, you've had your Santa Clara save. You've had network games as well. Stakey, I'd really like you to kick us off with your first Savesman. Somebody who personifies your FM24 experience through the wonderful saves and journeys you've had with this game. Who have you got for us, buddy?
It's a lovely concept, Rich, and I must admit, when you suggested this, I was over the moon. As a fan of a club that pretty much epitomised the Barclaysmen of Portsmouth in 2008, 2009, your Ben Jarnies, your Pedro Mendezes, your Matty Taylors, right up there with the elite Barclaysmen that have across the board. So getting the Savesman, I was like, who epitomises my Santa Clara save? And there's obviously some key highlight players who we've had across the years. Archie Gray in particular is someone who has just been there for the whole time. I've basically built my squad around him. But I was like, normally the Barclaysmen aren't there for that long. But what they do with their short time is elite. It's wonderful. It's flair, it's excitement on the pitch, and it makes you sit forward in your chair and get behind whatever's happening. And there is a particular man that instantly came to mind as a bit of a one-season wonder, I must say. But what he did with his one season pretty much has put the foundations down for the rest of the save to come up until March this year, and what has happened for the last few times on stream. And that player is James McAtee. James McAtee, as you might know, is a youth player for Manchester City. When the game starts, he's been on loan at Sheffield United. He was in that wonderful Sheffield United team in the Premier League last season who did really, really well.
Brilliantly. And I thought it was fantastic. Made me really happy.
100%. And actually, to be fair, he actually stood out in that wonderful team. And he also stood out for Santa Clara. So he came in on a free. Man City released him. Despite his decent potential, they decided that he wasn't worth growing any further. And he came into my central attacking midfield position. And at the time, I'm playing a sort of arrow formation with a single striker, two cams behind them, a left midfielder, a right midfielder, and then a deep-lying playmaker pivot, and then a fullback. So he came into one of those cam positions, and one of them is set as a shadow striker. And he was basically like, you know what? I'm going to be the guy this season. And he came into the team and he played 32 matches for me. He scored 15 goals from central attacking midfield, 10 assists, 5 man of the matches, and a 7.47 average match rating across the season. And we're not just talking he ran beyond the striker and tapped in a few. We're talking he picks up the ball 25 yards out and wellies it into the top corner. Well, these are proper, classic Premier League goal level that we're seeing here. Whipped in from range from the left and the right side, hit on the half volley from a cleared corner, that kind of thing. Dribbling past a couple of men and slotting it under the goalkeeper. Wonderful goals. And this guy is everything I can imagine from a Barclaysman as a Savesman. And I love James McAtee. The story does end with a little bit of a sadness, but also it does help my save going forward. We did have to sell him at the end of the season. He was just too good for us. He wanted to leave and he had a release clause of £14 million. And I was like, people are going to hit that. And then teams started to sniff around and we started to get bids in, and Brentford bid the £14 million. Thankfully, they weren't a Champions League club, so I didn't have to accept it. But in that little wanted, horrible icon that we all hate to see when we've got a player that we love, it said Manchester City want him back, Chelsea want him, and Liverpool want him. And I was like, this is going to be a challenge because they are in the Champions League and they can hit that 14 million. So I went, hey, Brentford, will you give me £20 million? Brentford gave me 20 million and he has funded my last 2 transfer windows and is a hero of the save, not only because of his average match rating, but also he is funding the entire club. That is my first one.
What a guy. What an arc. I mean, for me, the only downside to that, Stakey, is that realistically speaking, if he had gone back to Man City, you probably would have been able to get him back in on loan in January after he hadn't played a single game for them. Because isn't it always the way? Isn't it always the way?
I can tell you now, he has made 2 substitute appearances for Brentford this season, and that is it.
Yes. Wow. But what are 2 substitute appearances they are, though? What are 2 they are? See, it's look that's lovely. See that I think you Stakey, you get this. You get this. He was here for a good time, not a long time. He did wonderful things whilst he was there, and then off he goes on his next adventure to Brentford. It's where we all dream of going. It's where we all dream of playing.
Of course.
And
beautiful club.
Beautiful club, beautiful people. What a wonderful part of the world that is. It's every boy has a Ivan Toney poster on their wall growing up. They all love a bit of fun. Rico Henry. Oh, there's a fullback. They want to play. They want to play on the same pitch, even if they've retired and they're long gone. They just want to be able to say, "Oh, this is where he stood." See, I love that. I love that. There for a good time, not a long time. And also, isn't it lovely, especially when you're managing a lower level club, when you have the players that come in like that? They come in, they're really, really good for a couple of seasons, and then just money. People just start throwing cash at them. It's such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. And especially when that then fixes the club financially. So he's going to go down. He'll go down in Santa Clara history. The man that essentially saved the club. Well, not necessarily saved, but financed for a significant period of time.
It's certainly gone from negative money at the end of each season to being well in the millions in the positive. So he has done a lot for me. I didn't get much of it back as transfer budget, but at least the balance book says positive £16 million at the end of the season. So I can't complain.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Callum, hello.
Hi.
Hiya. Slow?
I mean,
Slow?
Rich, I've been managing them for 2 whole game cycles at this stage. I mean, surely you should know that it's pronounced Slough.
It is Slough. Thank you.
Yeah.
Why? Callum? Callum. That's so Callum. Give me a Slough player that you've fallen in love with this year. Somebody who really characterizes your Slough. Bill Slough makes no sense, Callum. Your branding's been off all year long.
It's rubbish. It has been rubbish.
Yeah, it's terrible. Atletico Bill Slough, who really summarizes, who's captured the essence of the Bill Slough experience for you this year?
So both of you just said there about with James McAtee how he was here for a good time, not a long time, and I can only offer you the next grade up from that, which is my player who's here for a good time and a long time and has just completed his testimonial at the club. Actually, so this man is without doubt in my eyes a club legend at the club. In the game's eyes, not even favoured personnel. Don't get me started on that, because these things in the game really bug me and they mean nothing, but how he's not a club legend is beyond me. His name is Kessie Denton. His name is Kessie Denton. And for anyone who followed the save from the very start, when we were stuck in the Vanarama South, we were very, very close to going up. Pretty much every year, actually. And I think it might have even been Steak in the chat saying, I tell you what, if you had a penalty taker, you would have won about 3 or 4 games more than you did this season, because our penalty takers in non-league were like 6 with composure of 2. And that was genuinely the best penalty taker at the club. And they missed a lot. Turns out if you're not good at penalties, you do actually miss. It's not a given. And so I went out to find myself a penalty taker in the summer of 2026. And I found a man whose part of his name rhymes with pen. Kessie Denton, you see. And I thought, well, his name almost sounds like Penton, penalty, Penton. He might be able to kick a ball. And it turns out he also had 13 penalties. So we literally signed a footballer because of his penalty taking attribute. He was a centre half who could also play in defensive midfield. So we brought him in, and you won't believe it, first season, we got promoted with Kessie Denton part. So he was part of the first promotion side in the Vanarama South. We then brought him into the national, and I decided as a centre half, he just wasn't good enough. So despite playing the whole season in the Vanarama National, he wasn't good enough. So I sent him out on loan. And he went on loan to Kidderminster Harriers, had a great season there, played 40 games for them. And then he came back and went, no, still not happy, isn't developed enough. Sent him off to Telford for a year. So this is a lad who he didn't have an easy journey at Slough. And many thought, actually, this might be the end of Kessie Denton's time at Slough. But no. He came back and then a stroke of genius. This centre-half might be too small to play centre-half, but I'll tell you what he could do. He could be a half-back. And there came the revolutionary change to my formation, which has remained till the Premier League. The half-back, with Kessie Denton playing, has been magnificent. And you're not going to believe it. He comes back, his first season in the Vanarama National. What happens? We get promoted again. So Kessie Denton now with Slough, first season with Vanarama South, we get promoted. And then he's straight back in at Vanarama National, gets promoted. He's playing at halfback in League 2. We get promoted straight away. League 1, we get promoted again. And this is a man now who's playing 40 plus games every season and bagging in every penalty he gets as well. And that he is like I have had other, and in fact, one of my other Savesmen, who I'm going to bring up later on, is actually a better penalty taker than him officially, according to attributes. However, Denton is so much better from the spot. He's just so much more reliable. And that means he's now scored for Slough 49 goals. This halfback as a DM. He's played about 420 games for the club. And the beauty of it is we're in the Premier League. And the first season we got into the Premier League, he was still my starting halfback. So to have a player that you signed in the Vanarama South come all the way through the divisions, and not just, a name who I'm not going to bring up tonight is Hamzad Kargbo, because in my opinion, Hamzad Kargbo with save is too big of an impact. I don't think he comes within this category of a Savesman. But Kargbo's someone we very much sort of held the hand of, lifted up, tried our best to get him through to get into the Premier League. Kessie Denton hasn't been like that. Kessie Denton has actually held his own all the way into the Premier League, which has been remarkable. He's also the first player I've ever had with the late developer tag. And I've never had that before. And that he got it in his second season in the Championship. And then he's just kept kicking on and kicking on. And for a halfback, he averages a 6.9, which I think is a really good rating for someone who's playing defensive midfield. And, over his entire career, he's got 16 assists. So it's not like he's contributing to a lot of goals. I know he has penalties, which will help that rating. But I think for a DM, that's pretty exceptional, really. And he's kept that all in. And unfortunately, it is the second season in the Premier League when we have finally gone, right, Kessie, you've had your testimonial. You've been here for a number of years. You're now going to sit comfortably on the bench and come on most games. But what a player for our save. What a man. And just an absolute hero. He's one. I think the epitome of Savesman is in 4 game cycles time, you will still remember that player playing for your team. And I will, without a doubt, never forget Kessie Denton. He's a new gen. He's not real. And yet he's been with us for the whole journey. And it's amazing.
See, I love that. Absolutely love that. I love that point as well. I really, really like that. You will remember the name. Remember the name Kessie Denton. He's, as you say, came in the Vanarama and he was still in your Premier League side as well on merit, which is bonkers.
Exactly.
I love a late developer. I've found my first one of the year very, very recently, and I was giddy, genuinely. This is lovely. I got very, very excited by mine, and again, it's that long-term investment in a player as well. Just keep giving him games. I think an average 6.9 rating for a defensive midfielder as well. That's I joke on stream, and we've all done it. If you see a goalkeeper who's on a 7.5, you go, if that was an outfield player, that would be a 10. It's so rare for a goalkeeper to get those astronomically high ratings, unless you're on the receiving end of, or a good old fashioned FMing. You've had 35 shots, 25 on target. You've lost 1-0. to an own goal from the only attacking set piece they had all game. And their goalkeepers finished on like a 9. You're like, well, fair enough. But like that rating for like halfback, because again, what metrics are you measuring them against? Is it goals conceded? Is it passes? Is it attacking contributions? Because what are you actually measuring their successes against? Because they're not part of that back line. But really, are they really part of that midfield, the way you're playing them? It's a really, really difficult thing to measure. So, and again, I love that. He's been there for the entirety of the journey as well. So, up the Kessie Denton. Big fan of that.
What a player.
I find, I've listening to both of you, I think there are aspects of what you've talked about of both players. There's the good time, not a long time, and then there's the cult hero almost of the saves. My first 2 players, I've kind of got one of each. And I'm in a bit of a different set of circumstances to the 2 of you, because with my big save this year, I've been all over the place. I've been at 9 different clubs so far in my save. So, and as much as there are sides that I've absolutely fallen in love with, but you know, I had so much time for my Ajax team, for example, the Dortmund side that I inherited and then just fluked 2 Champions Leagues with, like that. Some of those players were phenomenally good. But then at the same time, I've not really stayed anywhere long enough to really develop a relationship with a certain player. So it's a harder metric to measure. And there have been players that I've bought in at different clubs that have had a great impact, have helped me win something, and then I've left the club and then moved on. But there is one common denominator across both of those fields. So my first Savesman, in the context of my universe that I've created this year, it's my favorite ever FM24 attacking midfielder, Luka Toplivic. Because Luka Toplivic, I'm looking at his career history right now. He starts the save in Domžale in Slovenia. I bought him to San Etienne from Domžale for £1.9 million when I got them up into Liga. £1.9 million investment just to really bolster my attack, bit of creativity, goal scoring threat, bit of pace. He was only 18 at the time, but he fit straight into the first team. Wonderful returns in my first season. A few years later in Ajax, I needed an attacking midfielder, and I looked at Luka Toplivic and I went, you know what? I'm going to spend £65 million on you because I have it to spend, and you're worth every bloody penny of that £65 million. And I bought him to Ajax, and he was that key component. He wasn't the reason that we won the Eredivisie, but he was a big part of it because he just started linking things together. Things started to make a little bit more sense when he was on the pitch, and the goals started coming a little bit better because he was getting up and he was attacking and doing all those wonderful kind of, you know, central midfielder and attack jobs that he was doing so well that other midfielders could concentrate on the defensive side of the game. He was a big part of the reason, not solely, but he was part of the reason, linked everything together, won us that Eredivisie title. 5-6 years later, when I made it to Dortmund, I needed an attacking midfielder, and you'll never guess who I spent £65 million on again. It's Luka bloody Toplivic, wasn't it? In he came into Dortmund, the exact same amount of money I paid Ajax for him, and then the exact same thing happened again. Because very much like you, Steaky, I had a lone striker, but with 2 attacking midfielders behind, and he occupied the shadow striker role. And his first season, 14 goals and 6 assists. So suddenly something just clicked. And he was a big part of that Champions League win that we had, which was wonderful. Also a big part of the title winning side as well, because again, he started assisting, he started linking the play together a little bit more. It was just working, and I was very, very happy about it. And then I go to Porto, and you'll never guess what I needed at Porto.
Was it central attacking midfielder?
It was a central attacking midfielder, and you'll never guess who I spent £62 million on. It was Mr. Bloody Reliable, Luka Toplivic, and he's come into Porto. And again, he came in for that second season, and it was that second season I had at Porto where we managed to undefeated in the league, smashed Benfica in their big silly faces, helped us get to a Champions League semi-final of all things, just by being great. 8 goals and 12 assists in his first season in Portugal. He has been consistently wonderful. He has not been the star man in any of those teams. Don't get me wrong. He's not been the best player, but he's just worked. He's come in and he's done the job that I wanted him to do. People always say you watch like a Claude Makelele, or you watch like a good defensive midfielder like a Kessie Denton. You might not notice them in the game And that means they're doing their job really, really, really well. I think Toplovic is the same. He's never the star player. He's never the one where you see him pick up the ball and go, right, he's going to dribble past 3 players and put one on top bins from 25 yards. But his passes are wonderful. His lowest rating in the entirety of the save, his lowest rating for a season was a 6.99. Everything has been like 7.2 or above. He's been consistently wonderful throughout the entirety of the save. I had no idea who he was at the start of FM24. Absolutely no idea whatsoever. Very much like a Kessie Denton. I will remember the name forever. Luca Toplovic. He's going to be one of the first players I look up on FM25. He is. I checked before we started recording. He's actually moved this summer in reality to Inter Milan, who I can only assume have been watching What's the Story for Glory. And they've gone, well, he looks great, so surely we have to sign him. But he just epitomizes that. Every single club that he's come into, he's been there for, he hasn't spent ages. The longest he spent at one club was at 5.5 seasons at Ajax, 3 at Saint Etienne, 5.5 at Ajax, 2 at Dortmund, and now he's about to start his second season at Porto. He's never stayed anywhere for a huge amount of time. But the impact he's had at every club that he's come into. And because of the transfer fees, it's then set those clubs up as well in terms of moving forwards and reinvesting into new players. So he's just the gift that keeps on giving. Luka Toplovic, if you are playing FM24 and are doing what a lot of people are doing at the moment, which is starting a brand new save because suddenly we have time, have a little look. Have a little look. If you're downloading new databases, he'll be at Inter. He's probably available on loan, but he's so good. Just proper savesman. Bloody love Luka Toplovic. What a boy.
Love that. Yeah, and he really does epitomise your save as well because he's followed you through, and there's not been loads of players who have followed you through. And a journeyman's quite difficult to get that guy who is your guy. And when I hear that name, I do think of you. So
yeah, he's one of those. It's very, very difficult to, because you fall in love, don't you? You fall in love, you leave a club, and you know that Dortmund team that I had. There are 2 or 3 players in that club. I would take them to any team, any database. Shout out to our friend Gub32, who the other night did the stream at Save Down with everyone had their stream saved and played a competition. Some of the Dortmund players that I could have put into that were just otherworldly, but he is the one that has been consistently wonderful throughout, and I'm glad I've got to take him everywhere.
I think that's a really good way as well of getting yourself engaged with a new club, because I mean, like I'm someone who I put myself on the club and then I make stories around that club. So, and it's a lot easier to keep players at a club than to keep a player, if you know what I mean. Like what you've done there, where you've gone from club to club to club and you keep taking him to each of those clubs. And that is exactly how I would keep myself engaged. Like, right, I'm the manager. I know who my boys are. I remember when David Moyes left Everton and went to Man United, and he upset a lot of Everton fans because he came into Man United and went, right, I want to sign Fellaini and Leighton Baines because I know they are brilliant and I know they would suit the way I want to play with this team. And in the end, he only managed to get Fellaini, luckily for us. But I think that is something that managers do. Like, some players will work better for them. Another example is Carlo Ancelotti when he came to Everton, which I'm still not 100% convinced that actually happened, but I think it did. And so when Champions League winner Carlo Ancelotti, for some apparent reason, decided to manage Everton, out of nowhere, who does he bring in? James Rodriguez, who, I mean, like, there's no world in which Ancelotti should be managing us, frankly, but to have James Rodriguez, and why was he there? He was there because of Ancelotti. He loved the way Ancelotti managed. They were clearly really close. And so he came to a club who, let's face it, he probably didn't even know who we were before he signed for us. But he did it because the professor, as he called him, was the manager. And, like, I just think anything you can do to sort of create immersion within the game is so important. And I think there was a tweet put out recently by the FFM on Twitter, and she said about she's really struggling to get into a save, and like she keeps starting saves, and that is something that's so easy to do on FM because you need something to grip you. And sometimes the thing that grips you is one player and you just love them. You absolutely love him, and you go, "Yep, that's the reason I'm hanging around there." A bit like an Archie Gray for you, Steak, in the way you said a few weeks back on the podcast that the save has almost become the Archie Gray save more than the Santa Clara save, and that's because all your eggs are in that basket, and that's so lovely, and I think. It's something quite and it's something I haven't experienced it for years in FM because I've just done one club saves. But if my next save is a sort of move around, I would 100% do that. I'd do my best to keep my boys with me at all times, or my girls. Actually, FM25 can be my girls.
Very true, very true.
Absolutely.
Although, what I will say is you are kind of doing that by bringing the same player through the leagues. Like to be fair, you could have replaced Kessie Denton in the Championship for someone of an equal or slightly better or with more potential or younger or things like that. But you have chosen to keep him on throughout. Same with Hamzad Kargbo, was still playing for you in the Premier League until he retired all the way down from the bottom division. You could have replaced him with a better striker, and you have done it to a certain respect, but you kept him. And that's what's kept your interest in the save and your cult hero status in the save. It's the same with Rich. Yeah, I love that. And it is about the stories and the players that you bring along the way. It's about the friends we meet along the way that keeps us interested in these saves, and it really is.
I think as well, especially for streaming, I know quite often on this podcast we talk about streaming, and I know probably 95% of the people aren't streamers, but for streaming, you have to sell a story. And if someone watches your stream and then they've got stuff on for a month, and then they pop back into your stream and they watch it and go, I don't know any of these players, or even you've moved team and they're like, I've missed this completely. What happened with the last team? Why have you left? And they might then go, no, I'm not interested now. I'm turning off from this. The squad that I knew, the team that I knew, you're not managing anymore, so I've turned off. Which is part of the reason, like for me with Slough, where I did my utmost to bring as many players with me, not just for my enjoyment, but for also viewers who you can't. Streams are very long, and and they're sometimes irregular when it comes to me. So you do need to have this element of keep the players there, and it definitely restricts you. It definitely holds you back. Sentimentality is your worst enemy in FM, I think, because if you hang on to players that you love, sometimes, as you say, there are better players that are readily available out there, but they're not them. That they're not that player, and so. It's only sort of now for me in my save where I've gone, right, I'd quite like to win something now. So I love Colombia all of a sudden. I'm just gonna holiday there every pre-season, I think, and just sign all of them, and so there does get a point where you start going, right, I need to start replacing these players. But it's tricky, isn't it? It is tricky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's hard. Sometimes letting go is harder than trying to keep a player at the club because it's not to your benefit; it's to your detriment. And like you say, it's knowing when to do the right thing. Like Callum, with your save, I think the smartest move you made was when you got into the Premier League and just going, right, we've got here now.
Yeah,
let's have fun and let's lift those restrictions a little bit, because otherwise it's that sentimentality. And don't get me wrong, right? Watching Hamzad Kargbo score his first Premier League goal, what a wonderful moment that was. But at the same time, it wasn't forced. Okay, admit he came on as a substitute specifically to take a penalty, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like, right, we're in the Premier League, we've got this team, but Kargbo starts every single. It felt right. It was that Grand National winner just being brought out for one more trot round the arena before whatever happens to old Grand National winning horses happens. I don't know. I'm assuming they just get like a state pension and somewhere nice to live.
It'll all be fine. Don't overthink it.
No, it'll all be absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. So exactly, it's just nice feelings, isn't it? But it feels good. Happy memories, happy moments. Steak, let's keep the happiness train on the tracks, shall we? Who else you got?
We will indeed. We are going to choose probably the player that makes me the most happy in my Santa Clara save. He has his own theme tune from our lovely friend D-Boy Plays. And he is a goalkeeper that, very much like a lot of players that have been brought through from Slough, probably shouldn't be in my team anymore, but he is, and he starts every single week. And that man is Gabe Batista. And I absolutely love this man. He was my goalkeeper. So he's already there at the start. It was originally a Flamengo player. He then went on loan to Sampaio Correia and then found himself at Santa Clara in Portugal from the Brazilian league. And since then, he's just been here forever. So he does predate me in this save. He's there when you start the game. I think he's just signed permanently. So he's on loan last season in FM. But then he's signed permanently for the start of FM24. And he's a decent goalkeeper for the second division of Portugal. He has 15 aerial reach. He's got, 13, 12 handling, 14 one-on-ones is very nice. And, that kind of 11, 12 positioning that you kind of get from a very standard goalkeeper. I play a sweeper keeper attack in my formation because I'm ballsy like that. But he's only got 10 acceleration and 9 pace. So he's not really cut out for that role and really shouldn't be an absolute wonder goalkeeper. We've done 2 penalty shootouts so far in the save, and both times he has saved me. But not only can he save a penalty, and he definitely can save a penalty, he's probably more than 50% of his penalties he saves, and big ones as well, including against some of the big teams in Portugal. But he can also take a penalty. His penalties is like 10 or 11, and his composure is 13. And he actually ends up being one of my better penalty takers anyway. And there was a stage in Football Manager 24, just before the January update, when penalties felt like they were being missed a lot. Mm-hmm. And it was at this time when I was playing the most of Santa Clara. I was playing it 2 or 3 times a week. And I was just like, you know what? I am fed up with my strikers missing penalties when they've got 16 penalties and 13 finishing and 14 composure. I'm going to put my goalkeeper on it because if he misses, I don't feel as bad. Turns out he's quite good at penalties. He has now got double-figure goals for the team in 4 seasons since I've made that decision. I think he's got 4 this season, and we're not even in January yet. Absolutely love the man, and every time he scores a penalty, we of course play the wonderful theme tune, which is Gabe Batista to the tune of the Okie Kokie. Oh, the Gabe Batista! And all of chat obviously sing along and absolutely love it. And they don't say, Steak, please stop playing it. It's really annoying. It's the 19th time you've played it this stream because it's a fantastic jingle. It is a fantastic jingle. I love it. And I do play it a lot. But it's because I love Gabe Batista. He's my hero. And if I was going to get another Santa Clara shirt, I'd get a goalkeeper one with his name on the back.
Has he ever missed a penalty and then they've gone up the other end and scored?
No, he has missed penalties, but not to that.
Because I've seen, you've peer pressured me plenty of times into getting my goalkeepers to take a penalty on stream, and it's about a 50-50 split of they score or they don't. And I've never in the match engine seen a goalkeeper miss a penalty and then go up the other end and score. It's interesting. I wonder whether anyone has actually seen that, because I've done it before where I've sent a goalkeeper up for a corner and we've conceded from that. But you would surely, your goalkeeper's got to run the length of the pitch to get back.
I would argue most penalty saves I've seen on FM24, the vast majority tend to go out for corners. It's the keeper tipping it around the post or over the bar. I very rare, unless it's like Panenka, unless it's Panenka. But I don't see many Panenkas. So unless it's that, most penalties I see missed, they've either put it wide or the keeper's tipped it around the post. So I've not seen that many, because I agree, Callum. I get excited when the opportunity for goalkeeper mishaps rears its head. I grip the arms of my chair because I'm like, it could happen. It could happen. One of my favorite goals of all time in reality was Dejan Stankovic volleying in the Champions League from about 60 yards past after a mishit clearance. He just first time perfect volley, drills it home from 65 yards. Keeper's not even in the box. Love that. Absolutely live for those moments. And they don't happen often on FM, but when the chance is there, I get grippy. I don't think I've ever seen a keeper take a penalty and have it saved and held, because surely then you just punt it along to whoever's up and they go down the other end to score. It has to exist, but I just don't see enough penalties saved in that way for it to happen.
That's my question. Does it exist within the game engine? Because I question whether it does.
If that's the case, I'm going to keep doing it then.
Yeah,
because
this
there's
is what I mean.
Absolutely no risk.
There's
at
no
all.
jeopardy to it. That's what I'm saying. I would absolutely love now for in our Discord or via X. I almost said Twitter, but I said X then.
It's Twitter.
Yeah, I know. If you have ever had this happen, please let us know, because I would be really, really intrigued to either see it or hear about it, because I am going to start an FM conspiracy that it can't happen. I believe that if your goalkeeper misses a penalty, there is no issue with that, other than you've missed a penalty, obviously.
One thing I would say is maybe it's not immediate jeopardy, but what I do find is if Gabe misses one in the first 10, 15 minutes of a game, and then he's on a 6.1 or a 6.2, he does then tend to have a pretty poor game shots-wise.
Yeah, but I'm purely
I know what
talking
you
about
mean.
that moment.
You want that specific scenario.
Yeah. I definitely want to see someone save clipped of, get your screen clipper out and show us a counter-attack from a penalty that your goalkeeper's taken. And to be fair, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in my streams, I would imagine, because I am going to keep putting Gabe Batista on my penalties. Mostly so I can play the theme tune.
Next stream, nailed on.
100%.
Please, I need the clip.
As somebody who, again, this is previous versions, but I think FM22, I think it was Mad Scientist Database. I had Luis Chilavert on all of my free kicks because the man scored free kicks in real life. So I was like, well, that's why I'm going to sign him. He's on my penalties and he's on my free kicks. He did more often than not just drill free kicks into the wall. But again, there weren't many circumstances where he would drill a free kick, it would get blocked, and then either we wouldn't win possession back very, very quickly. I don't remember being broken against even from a free kick.
Free kick should be even more frequent, shouldn't it?
Should be. It really should be. But I don't remember it happening.
I mean,
I remember him missing a lot, but I don't remember him.
From a match engine point of view, like that. I mein, you're really, really having to plan for every eventuality, aren't you? If you're having to plan for the silly people, if you're putting in the match engine thing for the goalkeeper to take a goal kicker. The only thing I sometimes see is if you have one of those weird free kicks and it's deep within your half, and it's a poor clearance, and then they're immediately in. I've seen that a couple of times, but actually goalkeepers, I don't know. Well, I feel like I've repeated myself, but I'm just interested to know. I'm interested to know.
No, I've definitely I've seen a couple of shanked clearances that have been pounced on and scored from distance. I've seen that this year. Only a couple of times. It's it's rare, but I've seen those. But you would imagine again, like the way the match engine works, like because it's the objective is score goal, and if goalkeeper isn't in the goal, more inclined to shoot quicker. Like I've seen players put the ball into an open net, so it must be able to happen. It must be.
And if it doesn't, FM25, can you take out the highlight where goalkeepers pass it 1 yard to a striker and concede, and then put in the one where if they miss a penalty, sometimes you might concede a goal on the counter attack? That would be my preference because I don't like the first one.
Be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be a nice change. Let's work on that. Callum, give me a Savesman. Give me a quintessential Slough Savesman.
I am really, really struggling to choose one because with the save having gone on, I'm in 2038 in game, so it's 15 years of a save basically that I've had, and there are so many, like loads of strikers come to mind. I had Tommy Wingate who went from the national and was top scorer in a number of divisions all the way up to the championship, and he outplayed his attributes. He was just quick and could put the ball in the back of the net and couldn't do anything else, and he was brilliant. I had Danny Imray, who's my right wing back, who got 32 assists in one season, and he was exceptional. Tyrese Dice, who was an actual Slough original, was very similar. I've Kofi Adjumang, Justin Briley, also wing backs that are so important and contribute to so many goals. But I'm going to go down Steak's line of here for a good time, not a long time, in the sense of I've gone for Kessie Denton. He's been here the whole time. So I'm going to go in polar opposite. And I'm going to go for a player who's been here for a year. And he's still here at the moment. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I think my answer would be different. It'd be the other striker if I was at the end of this current season, because I've just signed a Uruguayan called Mateus De Leon, who looks absolutely incredible. Like the goals he's scoring, like, oh my goodness. But I'm going to go for his strike partner for the time being, tentatively. One of the best names, new gens I've seen in a long time, Marcus Niestrup Vendelbo. He is a Danish international who I signed from Liverpool. And there's a backstory to Marcus. So when I was in the championship, in my final year in the championship, I've done the sort of roundup of that on a pod before, so I don't need to repeat myself. And if you didn't hear it, why Callum on YouTube? There's a cracking video on there where you can see it. But there's Marcus Vendelbo's story actually began against us. And in our run-in, before the end of the season, we needed to basically win 2 or 3 games. And we played Blackburn, who Vendelbo was on loan at from Liverpool. And he scored a 21-minute hat-trick against us. And it was so good. I remember at the time going, who on earth is this man? Like that, it was the perfect hat-trick. The goals he was scoring were exceptional. And then I completely forgot about him, as you do on FM, you know, until I edited the video. And I was editing the video, I went, hold on, why didn't I look at Marcus Niestrup Vendelbo? I wonder what his situation is. And I looked at him because I was editing while I was in my summer. And there he was at Liverpool after his loan at Blackburn on the transfer list for £14.5 million. And I thought, it would be my record transfer. But he could be the man who keeps us up. You know, he could be the man who single-handedly gets enough goals. And I always thought striker was the position we needed. And good golly, Marcus Niestrup Vendelbo had quite the season. A 7.05 rating, 31 games, and 17 league goals for the club, which for a club who have just got promoted into the Premier League was absolutely gargantuan for us. Like it was completely defining for our season. It made us into a genuinely competitive side because we knew we were going to get goals all season long. And he's 23 years old, so I just feel like he's going to start developing with his 16 finishing and 16 composure. Yeah. He's basically both footed. He's a player who hasn't really, as well, which I love, hasn't really found his home yet. He's been at Copenhagen. He was on loan at Wrexham. He'd actually played 38 games for Liverpool as well, and he had his loan spell at Blackburn, but he was looking for a home. And we said, Marcus, come here. Come into my warm embrace. Slough Town will have you here. You've got a home here now. And yeah, he's been really, really exciting. He's also almost the first player to be on triple digits per week. He's on 99k per week. I managed to wangle it down. But yeah, just one of those players who you just get excited about. He's fast. He's good in front of goal, and he's got no right to be playing for us, and he does, and it's brilliant.
Huge. I love those moments though. So good. So good. And again, it happens in real life as well. It reminds me, I'm showing my age now. Mark Bright signing for the Wednesday, way back in the day. I used to work in, one of my regulars, his name was Sheffield Mick, because his name was Mick. And weirdly enough, he was from Sheffield. And because he was a bit older than me, it would tell me the stories and it was quiet. And he was like, he said he remember watching Palace play Wednesday on a Tuesday. Mark Bright tore us apart, and then they signed him the next week because they're like, he's just too good. Like, please, we need a striker. He's incredible. Get him on the books. And the rest, as they say, is history. But I love that. It's the best form of scouting. It is absolutely the best form of scouting. This player has absolutely had our trousers down. Better sign him.
Better sign.
Yeah.
And it always helps, just like Steak said, obviously I have a D-boy jingle for him because that adds to the, I mean, all of the players I've had jingles for this season so far, I could have said were Savesmen, to be honest with you. I've got Big Bennett, who I debated talking about, Steve Gennardo, our goalkeeper, but Vendelbo is the tune of Gold. Vendelbo, always scoring a goal. Yeah, that sort of thing. And that just adds to it as well, doesn't it? It just adds to it. But it seems like, even though his attributes are very good, it just seems like we are getting the best out of him. And that is what I love as well, that he's good for us. And only us. Maybe it's his manager. I don't know. I've heard he's pretty good, so it could have been some sort of motivation from that. But his name also doesn't fit on the back of the shirt. I now can see the N is on the arm, and it's blue. And the name's in blue, so you can't see the N or the E. So either side, he actually looks like he's called Estrup Vendelbo. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
You've got the FM24 equivalent of Jan Vennegoor of Hesselink. That's essentially what you
have. Kids cannot afford to get his name on their back.
They can't.
They can't afford it.
They can't.
It's more expensive than the shirt itself.
There you go. Right, next season's Slough trip. I've got one on there somewhere. There you go. It's going. It's not. I'm not made of money.
Bless the lovely lady in the shop that's going to work out how to spell Estrup Vendelbo.
Imagine it. Imagine it.
Can we just put Davis on the back? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine. I'm gonna round things off in this kind of part of the podcast, I suppose, with, again, it's going back to Steaky's here for a good time, not a long time. And it's a player that, for me, I've got to go right back to the beginning. I've got to go very, very early doors of the save, because it's somebody who not only just had absolutely no business ever even thinking about signing for me, let alone staying at the club after I left. It's a goalkeeper called David De Gea. You might have heard of him. He plays for Fiorentina now and is still very, very, very good. David De Gea turned up for me at the very, very start of FM24. I'd say second or third stream of my save in Japan at Kashima Antlers. It was a team that were not particularly great, a couple of standout players, but definitely not a team that looked like they were capable of competing for the title. So improvements needed to be made. And in my head, I was like, this is going to take 3 or 4 seasons, and it's going to be good youth signings, get a couple of decent players in on freeze from elsewhere in the world once contracts expire, and then we might be in with a bit of a chance. I needed a goalkeeper because my goalkeeper was ancient and not very good. My backup goalkeeper was also not very, very good. Japan has comparatively strict registration rules in terms of non-Japanese nationals in your squads. I was goalkeeper shopping, and then up pops David De Gea on a scouting report, and I was like, no, that's ridiculous. And then all the people watching the stream went, no, Rich, it's not ridiculous. It's actually a really good idea. And I went, no, it's a terrible idea because he's going to bankrupt me. And I can't, he'd laugh in my face, and that would hurt my feelings. They're like, go on, have a chat with his agent. I'm not going to talk to his agent. That's right. Go on, talk to his agent. What's the worst thing that could happen?
Do it.
Exactly what happened. So I did it. And I went, oh, I'm really interested. Because, when you talk to the agent, we were slightly interested. I went very interested. I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to flirt. I'm just going to put it out there. Put it out there. I want you, Dave, in Japan. I went, I'm very interested. And they went, yeah, he'd be well keen on that. And he'd want 30 grand a week. And I was, that's not right. That should say 300 grand a week because of Saudi clubs. I went, no, 30 grand a week. He loves, bloody loves sushi, does David De Gea. Cannot get enough. He watches Godzilla twice a week. Bloody loves it. Absolutely loves it. Anime, that's his jam. And the board, I had 30 grand a week to spend in wages. And then in came Spanish goalkeeping sensation, former FM wonder kid, David De Gea. And it just changed. It changed everything, not just within the club, within my perspective of the save. Because I shouldn't have signed that player. At that point, I'd brought in the likes of Quagliarella because he was like 40 years old and had incredible technical attributes, had like phenomenal mental attributes. And I think his physical attributes cumulatively added up to about 12. So I was like, it's going to be fine. He'll just cut about and maybe score a few goals. That'll be fine. But you bring in a household name, and it just changes your perspective on what the actual save could be, how that has the potential to be. Because realistically speaking, the point of my save was to go around and try and restore reputations of clubs and fix things. Sometimes you need to go big with a fixer. And that's exactly what David De Gea was. He came in and suddenly there was confidence. Like from me as a manager, like, right, we've now got one of my favorite ever goalkeepers. A goalkeeper, I think at that point was still world class. I think David De Gea is like, if you pick up David De Gea on a free at the start of an FN24 save, you've got a first choice goalkeeper straight away in your club. No messing. I think he's wonderful. You feel confident straight away. Like, I've now got the best goalkeeper in the league. I've probably now got the best player in the league. And it just changes your mentality and it changes your mindset. It changes how you approach games. And through that, it felt like I had more freedom to like utilize the midfield and utilize the attack. I was like, right, because the point is I want to go out, I want to win. I want to do good things. And then winning the season. So winning the championship in, the penultimate game of the season. That was because I was like, right, I don't have to be too cautious anymore. Because regardless if I'm going to face shots, I've got David De Gea in goal. And he was phenomenal. He signed about a month and a half into the season. He played 24 games. He kept 12 clean sheets. He averaged a 7.06, which, as we said earlier, goalkeeper tax, that's like a 9 if that's an outfield player. He was wonderful. He was a big part of the reason that we won. And the thing that I really, really liked about him as well is that he stayed after I left. Like, he didn't immediately jump ship. Like, I remember I went straight to Saint Etienne and I looked at him and I thought, hey, if we can get David De Gea, if I can convince him to come to France, I can convince him to come to League 2 in France. No, he wanted to stay in Japan. And then he wrapped up his career in Japan, winning an Asian Champions League. Quite incredible. What a lovely end to his story. And then he moved to Getafe, like another 2-3 seasons as well, because he put himself back in that shop window, got himself back into La Liga as well. Like, I managed him for 24 games. Again, he is going to be one of those players that when I look back, because I've loved this save, the save of my What's the Story save this year has been brilliant fun. I've really, really enjoyed it. Arguably one of my favorite ever stream saves. I will look back and I go, do you remember that time I signed David De Gea at Kashima Antlers in Japan? It shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have existed. And I think the impact that he had on the club and on the save makes him prime candidate for that Savesmen name. He just did wonderful things. Stuck around for another couple of years afterwards. Didn't have to, but he did. Got his move back into the league to prove himself there again, where he didn't. He was absolutely woeful for the last 2 seasons at Getafe, but he tried, and that's the important thing. And again, that will stick with me. I really, really like that. I've never had that experience before, bringing in a huge name to a significantly smaller club. And Savesmen. There it is. I'm saying it. I'm calling it right bloody now. Savesmen.
Adore that. Absolutely. What a wonderful story. And what a player.
Yeah, man.
What a player.
He's great.
Absolutely. Realistically, David De Gea at certain points in his career has been the best goalkeeper in the world. Definitely. Yes. Maybe not when he left Man United, but certainly at various points until Ronaldo put 3 free kicks in one game past him or whatever it was in that match. He was definitely the best goalkeeper in the world at that time. And he turned up in Japan for you. Absolutely wonderful story.
Absolutely bonkers. Flip side of that coin, players like Gabamin, Everton legend, 4 games in 4 years? And he was fine. He was absolutely fine, but he wasn't David De Gea.
Gabamin sold all his Everton training kit and stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Someone saw it and they were like, it was posts and it was all like loads and loads of shirts, shorts, socks, everything like that, all with his initials on it. And it was under some sort of alias name. And everyone's like, this is definitely Gabamin. And as soon as it sort of become a bit of a thing like around the Everton sphere, suddenly that post got removed very quickly. But it was around. I mean, imagine a professional footballer going to Facebook Marketplace to sell all their free kit. I mean, he has earned ridiculous money for playing no football for the best part of 5 years, and he needs to earn 60 quid for selling training tops. Anyway,
I love it. I hope it was proper Facebook Marketplace as well. Like constantly get, oh mate, is this still available? It's like,
would you take 2 quid?
Would you take 2 quid? It's collection only, mate. It's like, oh, if I give you another £3, will you put it in the post for me? No, sorry, mate. Don't want to.
Would you swap it for a 3-bed semi-detached property? You know?
Outstanding. Is that your property by any chance, Callum?
I don't want to dox myself.
Don't want to talk about it. Winter's, if there's one thing that's going to keep you cold in the upcoming winter, it's 17 layers of Everton training kits, all being worn at the same time. Oh dear, Callum, is everything okay at home? This is my home. This is where I belong now. Oh, fantastic. I think it would also be remiss of us just to wrap up our wonderful Savesmen segment.
Although I did prepare 3 just to put that out there, but you know,
well, we did, but then we got to yapping. I also had a third, but we got to talking, and talking is fun. It would be remiss of us to, and again, it's a shame that we haven't got a Jabberoo and a D-boy here, because as well as our wonderful saves that we've had on stream separately, you've also got the FMT network game, which has seen its share of peak Savesmen. Absolutely. Like Jabberoo, like 2 that spring to mind for Jeb straight away. Firstly, you've got Neymar at Wolves, because of course Neymar just turned up at Wolves for a bit, because of course he did. Why wouldn't he have done? And then was either completely invisible or unplayable, and there was no middle ground. I think he just tossed a coin in the tunnel every single game. It's like, and today I'm going to be, well, the best player the league's ever seen. Fantastic. But next week I'm just going to, I'm going to jog for 90 minutes, if that. Misplace a pass here or there, get subbed off at 60 minutes, first one in the bath, everyone's a winner. So like Neymar for Jeb springs to mind, and of course,
sounds like actual Neymar. Just
sounds like
Saudi league.
actual Neymar in the Saudi league. Yeah,
I don't want to play this week. I'm injured, boss. Yeah, and
I'm poorly.
I've turned up on Instagram on the other side of the world. That's weird, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I saw a wonderful statistic about Neymar this week. Is that Neymar has, for those of you that play the game and are aware, Neymar has more Saudi league cards on his FIFA Ultimate Team since he's moved there. He has more versions of his card on FIFA Ultimate Team than he has actually played games for that club in Saudi Arabia, which is quite sensational. Housery of the it's Gary Lineker at Grampus 8, just like played about 3 games in 2 years, had a bad toe, couldn't kick a ball, but also was collecting fistfuls of money on a daily basis. Weird that. But Neymar, Neymar at Wolves, Jeb's equivalent of Mijatovic, he'd argue that this one's better. Is his Curtis Jones. Like, he's taken him everywhere. He took him from Liverpool to Wolves, turned into the greatest playmaker the world has ever seen. And then he took him back to Liverpool from Wolves when he moved over there as well. Just assists for days. Curtis Jones, that Curtis Jones, the one that he signed after promising me for 3 months that he was definitely going to sign James Maddison from me, which he weirdly didn't do. Thanks, Jeb. Thank you, Jebberoo. Cheers for that, mate. That was really, really psychologically healthy for me. Really appreciated it. Really sweet of you. So you got the likes of those. Harvey Barnes is another one. Soz Kev. I know you hate. I know you didn't like him at United, but Harvey Barnes turned up at United for me. Was wonderful for 3 years, and then I've sold him to D, and D's just turned him into the greatest inside forward the world has ever seen. Shouldn't be. Does not have the right to be. But it's just that he scored we were talking about it earlier, wasn't it? Those goalkeeper mistakes that lead to long shots, and he did it in a game against Jeb. His keeper just bowls it out incorrectly. Defender doesn't get anywhere near it. Harvey Barnes picks it up and then slots it in from 30 yards into the top corner to tie the game. Beautiful moment. Harvey Barnes does not have the capacity to do that, but he does in the network game. Wonderful. Savesman. Going to put that out there. Kev with his big meaty strikers taking Sesko. Kev basically just bankrolling every club he's ever left by buying all of their players, the likes of the Seskos and the Makokos. Just Savesman. Alice, in her time with the game, signing Morten Gamps Pedersen. He played 3 games for her. Savesman. These are all wonderful, wonderful
Barclaysmen.
Barclaysmen. Savesmen. Just great people. Great people. Look, I love a Savesman. talking about them has made me very, very happy. And as well as Callum's request for your calamitous goalkeeping experiences, have you had a goalkeeper miss a penalty and then the other team go down the other end of the attack? I'd also like to know your savesmen. The people listening to this podcast, put it in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube. Get on our Discord, start dropping them in there. You know what? To the point where after we finish recording, I'm making a savesman section on our Discord. There you go. Drop them in there. They don't have to be the best players in the world. They just have to be special to you for whatever reason. We want to hear all about them because I love listening to other people's stories about FM and their experiences with players, real players, new gens, whatever it may be. Tell us all about them. We would like to hear about them. Savesmen. It's fun to say now. Isn't it
it's
great?
It's going to be a thing. If you keep saying it, it'll be a thing.
Savesmen. Seriously, it's been bugging me for ages because, as I said earlier, I love the Barclaysmen format. I think it's great because I love nostalgia. I love that kind of thing. Because I want to introduce that to FM in some capacity. I want to do this episode. I've been wanting to do this episode for a little while. I couldn't figure it out, and then we were talking about it earlier. Then, like Jeb just popped, just call it Savesmen. I'm like, yeah, that makes complete sense.
Classic Jeb.
Complete sense. Oh, look at me. I'm Jebbaroo. I'm coming in with the right answer. Yeah. Thanks, Jeb. Thank you. You've saved it. You've saved everything. Callum, you're now, if I'm correct, going to almost take on the role of Jebbaroo. Because if there's one thing Jeb has started doing recently, it's been hosting some form of trivia events for us. And I'm going to quote you here, Callum. I'm going to put you on the spot. No pressure. Absolutely no pressure whatsoever.
It's a lot of scrolling, isn't it?
So much scrolling. Oh my goodness gracious me! So much scrolling. I've got somebody referring to you as their arch nemesis, which is terrifying. I hope that person's not on the pod anytime soon.
That would be a disaster.
It would be an absolute disaster. Callum, to quote you, this is verbatim. I've got a great FM quiz if needed. It's truly great. Put your quiz where the money No. Callum, do you want to host a quiz?
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah,
that'd be cool. That'd
be nice.
Would you like me to phone? Would you like me to phone you halfway through you hosting it?
Absolutely not. Not this time.
Okay.
That was a one-time only thing. That was truly magic. In hindsight, I wish I'd come up with a hilarious name for this quiz. I'm now realizing that on the spot that I probably should have come up with a better name. But this game is called Guess the Role. Woo! I mean, it's an audio podcast, boys. You're dancing, which is very nice of you, but no one can hear that. You could have at least gone, oh, I'm very excited about this. Right, we're going to do it again. It's a brand new game hosted by me called Guess Your Role.
Oh, I'm very excited about that.
I'm so excited about this quiz, Callum.
I'm glad you are because it's great.
Truly.
You fill it up now. It's got to be good.
Basically, the game is it's pretty difficult to understand. You've got to guess the role I am explaining. So in every FM role, there is a description part of that role. And I'm going to read that out. However, obviously without saying the actual name of the role, because that would ruin it, wouldn't it? I mean, that would if I just went, the advanced forward. So that's the sort of thing I'm looking for. Okay. Now I've said advanced forward. I'm not going to do advanced forward. Or am I? But I'm not going to do
exactly what somebody who was going to do advanced forward would say to throw us off.
Or is it exactly what someone who's not going to do it would say to throw you off the throw off?
My head.
Anyway,
get out of my head.
So for the hilarity of the listeners and for both of you, instead of saying the role's name, wherever it says the role, I'm going to say the word sausage because it's sausage roll. Get it?
He's come up with it on the spot. He's got that. He's got that.
He's done well there. He's done well there.
That was good. So now there is an element of jeopardy to this. If you believe you know the answer, you say your name. Steak, your name is Steak Bake. Rich, your name is richard.owens/twitch.tv. Okay.
Just /FM.
Sorry. Just say Rich, it's fine. And You can have a guess. However, if you guess incorrectly, you are locked out and cannot guess again for this sausage roll. Okay.
Okay.
And the other person can listen to the entirety of the description and then guess at the end.
Okay.
It is first to 3 points because I don't know how long this is going to go. It could be mega quick, but it could also be an absolute car crash. Welcome to Know Your Sausage Rolls. So, are we ready?
Mhm.
Born
I am
ready.
ready.
Do we
Never been
understand?
readier.
Do we understand?
Probably
Sure.
not, but go for it.
Okay. The sausage operates in the space between the defense and the midfield and aims to initiate attacking moves via pinpoint passes to players positioned higher up the pitch.
Steak bake.
Oh,
Is it the deep-lying playmaker?
yes, it is Steak. Well done. Point to you. Very
Yes.
good. Very
Great
good
roll, by the way.
indeed.
Great sausage roll.
Great sausage roll. One of the best, I'd argue. I would have gone on to say, although primarily a creative player, the sausage also has to be competent in the art of defense. So there is more to it, but well done, Steak. I feel like the pinpoint passing was maybe what gave that bit away. That was
Yeah, I was leaning half back until he said that.
Right. Next up, are we ready for the second sausage? The main job of the sausage is to stop the opposing attackers from playing and to clear the ball from danger when required.
Rich, is this a no-nonsense centre-back, Callum?
No, it is not. Rich.
Oh, that's what I was going to say as well.
And that's why I did this one, because I would have also guessed no nonsense from that first line. Now, Rich, you are locked out. Steak, you may hear all of the rest of the description before guessing if you'd like to.
And still get it wrong, but yeah, okay, go on.
I'll reread the first sentence. The main job of the sausage is to stop the opposing attackers from playing and to clear the ball from danger when required. However, unlike standard central defenders, the sausage is encouraged to launch defense-splitting balls from deep to generate counter-attacking opportunities. With a defend duty, the sausage will stay in line with his defensive partner and look to break up attacks, mark opposing forwards, and prevent the ball from getting into the box. Steak, what is your answer, please?
Ball-playing centre-back?
It's 2 points for Steak. It's the ball-playing defender. Very, very good indeed. That was a really tricky description, I think, that one. It didn't 100% sound like what I think a ball-playing defender is. That's why I think the descriptions are quite interesting sometimes. Right. Rich, there's a bit of an issue here because if Steak gets the next one, you have lost without a point, which would be pretty embarrassing.
That'd be very embarrassing for me, wouldn't it? Well,
it would.
Good job. I'm ready to be embarrassed. So
perfect.
Actually, the joke's on you, Callum.
This might have to be one where you jump in quickly. A sausage can transform an average team into a good one by using sheer physicality to disrupt the opposition's defense and
Rich Owens.
Yes, Rich?
Is it a target man?
I mean, it's target forward in FM. But yes, congratulations. The target forward. Sheer physicality to disrupt the opposition's defense and open space for a strike partner and supporting midfielders. The target forward.
I forgot the name because I don't use them ever.
Yeah, me neither.
That one was for you, Kev. I know you're listening. That one was just for you. Also me, because we both love them, but mainly for you, Kev. Right, it's 2-1. It's 2-1. And we've had a midfielder, a defender, and an attacker. So who knows what I will go for next? It truly is a mystery, even to me, as I'm currently selecting it. Right. The sausage sits... Gets better. The sausage sits on the shoulder of the last defender. Looking to break the defensive line and run onto...
It's a poacher.
It's 2-2. It's an incredible comeback. It's sausage stand ball here. Remarkable.
Damn it. I was going to buzz in, but I just wanted to hear more.
I mean, the sausage sitting on the shoulder of the last defender. What an image! What an image! Goodness gracious! Right.
So I can now just imagine Pep in a change room. It's like, right, you're the shoulder sausage today, okay? Haaland's like, yeah, man. I'll be the shoulder sausage.
This is the final one. It's 2-2. It is the decider. Right. The non-stop dynamism of the sausage enables him to contribute greatly to both defending and attacking.
Rich.
Steak bake.
It was Rich.
Oh.
Box-to-box sausage?
Now, if you have got this right, Rich, this would have been an absolutely incredible comeback from 2-0. Steak, what would your answer have been out of interest?
But surely if he's wrong, I get the rest. So that means he's right. No, he's right. I was going to say Segunda Volante.
Well, it's interesting you say that because
we're both wrong.
It is a box-to-box sausage. Well done, Rich. What a comeback.
Oh, that's not a roll. It's a sausage roll.
See, I
Sausage
told you it was a
rolled me
truly
over.
great quiz. You know,
It was
we had
truly
drama.
great.
You know what? You delivered. You made promises, and you've delivered on those promises.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
I hope everyone played along at home. Did you win at home? Did you beat Steak and Rich there? You might have got to 3 first. Who knows?
You may well have done. You may well have done. And if you have, let us know all about it.
It's irrelevant because Rich has won, but you know, but ultimately for your own ego.
Yeah, it's all for you. It's all for you because I am the winner. I am the champion of this game, and as the champion, I just want everyone to know that I think it's a great game, and I'd like everyone to disregard what I said after I got the first 2 questions wrong. So thanks, everybody.
I think that's fair.
Whereas I've decided that it's a terrible game and sausage rolls are nothing on steak bakes. So there we go.
There we go. That's what I've heard. It's all true. It's all true. Callum, I love that. Thank you very much.
No problem.
That was good. That was good. It was good times. Good times. So I'm giddy.
Yeah, you are. You're over the moon.
I'm drunk on victory. It's a terrifying feeling. And port, lovely bar Christmas soon. I don't realize a port. It's gonna be great. Bloody love a port at Christmas. Anyway,
sorry.
Anyway, fellas, that felt very much to me like a podcast.
Think it is.
I think I agree. It felt it, and it smelled it.
And you know what they say?
No, I don't.
Neither do I. Let's wrap this up. Fellas, thank you so much. Before we head off, Callum, you've talked a lot about
Come on, you can do it. You can do it.
Slough Town.
That's
Callum,
the one.
if people wanted to watch you Slough Towning on the internet, where could they find you doing that, please?
They could do that on, what day is it? Thursday at 9 p.m. over on the Callum Twitch channel. And that's where I'll be. I haven't done it for a week or so because last week I was very, very busy with work. And myself, Steak, and D have started a new venture on Football Manager 25 Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. It's definitely Football Manager related. So if you are a Football Manager fan, make sure you pop in because it's definitely not Pokemon. If you want to tune in on that, that's Tuesday at 9 p.m. I don't think as much of the audience will jump to that one. However, we are doing that as well, and it's a great time. If you want to hear, we still talk about things like FM. So if you still want to pop in and have a chat with the 3. How would I describe us in the FMT rankings? Least experience. That's probably the least offensive way I could put it. Least experience.
Most childish.
Wow, Jeb, come on now. Jeb
Rich is there.
No.
Jeb tried to enter a Minecraft server early today. So, I mean, who's the real child here? It's Jeb.
Yeah, we're already in it, Callum.
Yeah,
I can't really.
Steak. There was absolutely no need to throw us under the bus there. No one would have known. No one would have known. Unbelievable.
I would have known.
Steak, what about you?
Rather handily, I'm going to stream from that at some point this week. So you can come down and check that out. Twitch.tv/the_steak_bake if you want to hear some more Santa Clara goodness, to see how that James McAtee money has been spent, and whether Archie Gray can continue doing well, and Gabe Batista's theme tune, which you definitely do need to hear. come down and have a chat with me this week.
Perfect.
Richard.
How about you, Richard?
How about me? Well, you can find me at twitch.tv/RichOwensFM, not playing Pokemon because I wasn't invited. So that's fine. That's fine.
It's an age limit, unfortunately.
There is an age limit, which is... Anyway, yeah, so you can find me.
Steak back.
He came back. Yeah, you can find me. I'll be playing FM24. I believe, due to availability issues, we're not going to be network saving this week. There'll be no network save, so I might just try and squeeze in to What's the Story Former Glory saves. Coming off the back of an undefeated season with Porto, finally pipped Benfica to the Portuguese league title, which is very, very exciting. I also finished the season £85 million in the red. So at the time of recording,
Take it back. I take back the round of applause.
Bring it back in. At the time of recording, I'm now £92 million in the black, but that does mean that I've had to sell some players, arguably my best players. I say arguably, it's just my best players. So if you want to come and hang out with me tomorrow night as I try and figure out how to... I've sold high, and now I need to buy low, and that's where I'm struggling.
Tell you what, we started this podcast. I was going to say stream. Then what a world. We started this podcast talking about great philosopher Ronan Keating, and life being a roller coaster. And that update of your save there in such a short amount of time, that was a roller coaster. You just got to ride it, though, haven't you, Rich?
I know you do, and I am low, so because my chair is sinking. So emotionally, fine, but
that's right.
Height. Down I go. So yeah, come spend some time with me as I do that. Also, twitch.tv/dboyplays and twitch.tv/Jabberoo. Follow the whole gang. You know you want to. It makes sense. It's a nice thing to do. Fellas, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you both so much. I appreciate you both enormously, and we appreciate you, our audience, for watching, for listening, however you are consuming this podcast. We appreciate you enormously. We will see you on the next episode of Football Manager Therapy. Take care. Love you lots. Bye-bye.